Part 1. Foundations of Attitude and Mental Programming. Take a slow breath, and for a moment, stop doing everything else. Because what you're about to hear is not just a book summary, it's a shift. A shift in how you see yourself. A shift in how you see problems. A shift in how you see success. Roger Fritz, in The Power of a Positive Attitude, Your Road to Success, makes one powerful claim. Your attitude is not a side effect of your life. Your attitude is the cause of it. Not your education, not your background, not your luck, your attitude. And once you truly understand this, life never feels the same again. Chapter 1. What attitude really means. Most people misunderstand attitude. They think attitude means smiling all the time, being unrealistically happy, pretending everything is fine. But Roger Fritz clears this confusion immediately. Attitude is not what happens to you. Attitude is how you interpret what happens to you. Two people face the same situation. One gives up. One grows stronger. The situation didn't change. The attitude did. Your attitude is the lens through which you see life, and that lens decides whether you see opportunity or threat, whether you move forward or freeze, whether you win internally or collapse quietly. A positive attitude doesn't deny reality. It empowers you to deal with reality. Chapter 2. Why Attitude Controls Success. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Success responds to attitude faster than talent. You can be highly skilled, but if your attitude is weak, fearful, or negative, your potential stays locked. Roger Fritz emphasizes that attitude is the engine. Skills are just the tools. A weak engine with great tools still won't move far. Your attitude determines how long you persist, how you respond to failure, how much effort you give, how much risk you're willing to take. And success always follows persistence, not comfort. Chapter 3. The Invisible Program Running Your Life. Most people think they're in control of their decisions. They're not. They're running on mental programming. This programming comes from childhood conditioning, past failures, social opinions, fear-based beliefs, and unless you change this program, you will keep repeating the same results, even if you desperately want something new. Roger Fritz explains that your subconscious mind accepts whatever attitude you repeatedly feed it. If you constantly think, "I'm not good enough," "Success is for others," "I always fail," your subconscious believes it and acts accordingly, not because it hates you, but because it follows instructions. Chapter 4. Positive attitude is a discipline, not a mood. This is one of the most important ideas in the book. Positive attitude is not something you feel, it's something you practice. You don't wait to feel confident. You act confident, and confidence follows. You don't wait to feel motivated. You take action, and motivation appears. Roger Fritz says successful people don't rely on emotions. They rely on mental discipline. They choose hope over helplessness, action over excuses, learning over blaming, even when they don't feel like it. Chapter 5. The Cost of Negative Attitude. Negative attitude is expensive. It costs you energy, focus, relationships, opportunities, inner peace. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize what it's costing them. Negative thinking creates mental fatigue, emotional paralysis, fear-based decisions, and slowly, silently, it convinces you to settle for less than you deserve. Roger Fritz warns that negativity is addictive. The more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. But the same is true for positivity. Chapter 6, Responsibility, the Turning Point. Here's the moment where everything changes. The moment you stop saying, "They did this to me," "Life is unfair," "I had no choice," and start saying, "I am responsible for my response." This doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It means reclaiming control. Roger Fritz explains that successful people take responsibility even when it's uncomfortable, because responsibility gives power. Victim thinking removes power. Responsibility restores it. Chapter 7, How Attitude Shapes Reality. Your attitude affects how people respond to you, how opportunities find you, how resilient you become. People are naturally drawn to optimism, confidence, calm strength, and repelled by constant complaining, pessimism, excuse-making. Your attitude sends signals even when you say nothing, and life responds to those signals. Chapter 8, Failure is not the enemy. Roger Fritz completely reframes failure. Failure is not proof that you're incapable. Failure is feedback. Every successful person failed, repeatedly. The difference? Some quit, some adjusted. Positive attitude doesn't eliminate failure, it uses failure. It asks, what can I learn? How can I improve? What's the next move? And then moves forward, without drama. Chapter 9, Inner Talk, the voice that decides everything. You are always talking to yourself. The question is, what are you saying? Roger Fritz emphasizes that self-talk is the foundation of attitude. If your inner voice says, "This is too hard," you slow down. If it says, "I'll figure it out," you keep going. Change your inner language and your external behavior follows. Chapter 10, The Attitude Decision. Here's the truth that ends part 1. Attitude is a decision you make every day. Not once, not when things are easy. Every single day. You don't control everything in life, but you always control your response, your effort, your mindset. And that control is more than enough to build success. Take a moment. Ask yourself honestly, what attitude have I been practicing? Has it been helping me or limiting me? Because now you know the truth, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Part 2, Self-Image, Belief Systems, and Reprogramming the Mind. Opening. Listen slowly. Before success appears in your life, before confidence shows on the outside, before results change, something far more important must change first. That something is how you see yourself. Roger Fritz makes this unmistakably clear. You will never consistently outperform your self-image. You may get lucky once, you may succeed temporarily, but long-term success always matches who you believe you are. And that belief lives deep inside your mind. Chapter 11. What is self-image? Self-image is not what you tell others, it's what you quietly tell yourself. It's the inner picture you hold about your ability, your worth, your limits, your potential. Most people don't fail because they lack skill. They fail because their self-image whispers, "This is not for people like you." Roger Fritz explains that self-image acts like an internal thermostat. When success rises too high above your belief level, your subconscious pulls you back down, not to punish you, but to stay familiar. Chapter 12. Where your self-image comes from. You were not born doubting yourself. Self-image is learned. It comes from childhood criticism, authority figures' opinions, early failures, comparisons, emotional experiences. One careless sentence heard years ago can still shape your behavior today. You're not good at that. People like us don't succeed. You always mess things up. These messages sink in quietly and become beliefs, and beliefs decide behavior. Chapter 13. Beliefs, the hidden drivers. Beliefs are powerful because they operate automatically. You don't argue with them, you obey them. If you believe I'm bad with money, you'll unconsciously sabotage wealth. If you believe I'm not leadership material, you'll avoid opportunities. Roger Fritz states, beliefs don't care whether they're true, they only care whether you accept them. And once accepted, they guide your life. Chapter 14. The danger of limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs sound logical. They disguise themselves as realism. Examples, I'm just being practical. I know my limits. I'm not lucky like others. But these beliefs quietly steal ambition. They lower goals, reduce effort, kill persistence. A positive attitude challenges these beliefs instead of obeying them. Chapter 15. How the subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind is not logical. It doesn't analyze. It doesn't debate. It records. Roger Fritz compares it to fertile soil. Whatever you plant, grows. Positive or negative doesn't matter. Repeated thoughts become accepted truth. That's why repeated doubt becomes fear. Repeated confidence becomes strength. Your attitude is the seed. Chapter 16. Reprogramming the mind. Here's the empowering truth. Your programming can be changed. Not overnight, but deliberately. Roger Fritz outlines 3 core methods. 1. Awareness. You must first notice your thoughts. Ask, what do I say to myself when I fail? Do I encourage or attack myself? 2. Replacement. You don't fight negative thoughts, you replace them. Old, I can't handle this. New, I'm learning how to handle this. 3. Repetition. Repetition creates belief. Your subconscious learns through frequency, not intensity. Chapter 17. The power of affirmations used correctly. Affirmations are not magic words. They are mental training tools. Roger Fritz emphasizes, they must be believable. They must be repeated. They must be emotional. Not, I'm perfect, but I'm improving every day. Your mind accepts progress faster than perfection. Chapter 18. Visualization. See it before you live it. The mind does not distinguish clearly between vivid imagination and real experience. That's why athletes visualize performance. Roger Fritz encourages visualize confidence, visualize calm responses, visualize successful outcomes. Not fantasy, mental rehearsal. Your mind learns familiarity before reality arrives. Chapter 19. Self-image and consistency. Your behavior always tries to stay consistent with your self-image. If you see yourself as disciplined, you act disciplined. Capable, you attempt more. Worthy, you expect better. That's why changing behavior alone rarely lasts. Change the identity and behavior follows. Chapter 20. Environment shapes belief. Your attitude is influenced by people you spend time with, information you consume, conversations you repeat. Negative environments weaken positive attitude. Roger Fritz advises limit exposure to chronic negativity, seek growth-minded influences, protect your mental space. Your mind needs nourishment, not noise. Chapter 21. From self-doubt to self-trust. Confidence is not loudness, it is self-trust. It means you trust yourself to adapt, you trust yourself to learn, you trust yourself to recover. Positive attitude doesn't say nothing will go wrong, it says I'll handle whatever goes wrong. That belief is powerful. Chapter 22. Redefining your identity. Roger Fritz asks a life-changing question. Who are you becoming? Not who you were, not who others said you were. Who are you choosing to become? Your attitude is a daily vote for that identity. Chapter 23. The inner alignment. When attitude, belief, and action align, resistance disappears. You stop forcing progress. You start flowing toward it. Effort feels lighter. Decisions feel clearer. because internally you're no longer fighting yourself. Ask yourself, what beliefs have been quietly limiting me? Which ones no longer deserve authority? Because once you change the story you tell yourself, the future listens. Part 3. Negative thinking patterns, emotional conditioning, and mental traps. Opening. A quiet realization. Most people believe their biggest problems are outside them. The job, the economy, other people, circumstances. But Roger Fritz delivers a difficult truth. Your greatest obstacles are not external. They are internal patterns you repeat automatically. These patterns don't scream, they whisper. And because they feel familiar, people mistake them for who they are. But they are not who you are. They are learned habits of thought. Chapter 24. What negative thinking really is. Negative thinking is not realism. It is predicting pain before it happens. It shows up as expecting failure, assuming rejection, imagining worst-case scenarios, doubting progress even when evidence exists. Roger Fritz explains that negative thinking is the mind's attempt to protect you by keeping you small. If you don't expect much, you won't be disappointed, but you also won't grow. Chapter 25, the most common negative thinking patterns. Let's expose them clearly. 1. All or nothing thinking. If I fail once, I'm a failure. One mistake becomes a full identity. 2. Catastrophizing. This small problem will ruin everything. The mind jumps to disaster instantly. 3. Mind reading. They probably think I'm stupid. No evidence, only assumption. 4. Overgeneralization. This didn't work before, so it never will. Past becomes permanent. Roger Fritz emphasizes, you cannot think your way to success while rehearsing defeat. Chapter 26, Emotional Conditioning. Here's something powerful most people never notice. Your reactions are often conditioned, not chosen. If you've experienced rejection, fear becomes automatic. Criticism, defensiveness appears. Failure, shutdown follows. These reactions happen before logic enters. That's emotional conditioning. Positive attitude means interrupting these patterns, not suppressing emotion, but responding consciously instead of automatically. Chapter 27, Why Negativity Feels True. Negative thoughts feel convincing because they are emotional. Emotion creates urgency. Urgency creates belief. Roger Fritz explains, the mind mistakes emotional intensity for truth. Just because a thought feels strong doesn't mean it's accurate. Fear is loud. Confidence is quiet. Positive attitude trains you to listen to clarity, not panic. Chapter 28. The Cost of Unchecked Negativity. Unchecked negativity leads to chronic stress, low energy, reduced creativity, avoidance behavior, and eventually, burnout, resentment, loss of purpose. Most people don't collapse suddenly. They wear down gradually. Negative attitude drains life in small daily doses. Chapter 29. Awareness is the first interruption. You cannot change what you don't notice. Roger Fritz teaches that awareness is power. Start observing. When do I become negative? What triggers it? What story do I immediately tell myself? You don't judge it, you don't fight it, you notice it, and that pause creates choice. Chapter 30. Separating fact from interpretation. This is a game changer. Events are neutral. Your interpretation gives them meaning. Example, fact, I didn't get the opportunity. Interpretation, I'm not good enough. Positive attitude questions the interpretation, not the fact. Ask, is this the only explanation? What else could this mean? What can I control now? This shift alone changes emotional intensity. Chapter 31. Reframing, turning obstacles into data. Reframing doesn't deny difficulty, it repositions it. Instead of, "This is happening to me," say, "This is happening for me to learn." Instead of, "I failed," say, "This approach didn't work." Roger Fritz stresses, language shapes perception. Perception shapes response. Chapter 32. Emotional regulation and attitude. Positive attitude is not emotional suppression, it's emotional regulation. You allow emotion, but you don't let it drive the wheel. Successful people feel fear, they feel doubt, they feel frustration, but they don't obey those feelings. They acknowledge them, then act intentionally. Chapter 33. The role of gratitude in resetting the mind. Gratitude is not positivity fluff. It is a mental reset mechanism. When you practice gratitude, attention shifts, perspective widens, stress decreases. Roger Fritz explains that gratitude doesn't ignore problems. It prevents problems from becoming your entire reality. A grateful mind cannot stay chronically negative. Chapter 34. Breaking the complaining cycle. Complaining feels relieving, temporarily, but it trains the mind to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, who's to blame. Positive attitude replaces complaining with constructive action. Ask, what's one small step forward? What can I improve? What can I accept? Progress begins where complaining ends. Chapter 35. The power of pause. Most regretful decisions happen in emotional momentum. Roger Fritz teaches the habit of pause. Before reacting, pause, breathe, choose response. That pause is where attitude lives, not in the emotion, but in the response. Chapter 36. Training the mind daily. Positive attitude is not a one-time shift, it's daily conditioning. Just like physical fitness, miss one day, fine. Miss many, strength fades. Daily practices, thought awareness, intentional language, mental rehearsal, gratitude reflection. Small practices, massive long-term impact. Chapter 37. From mental prison to mental freedom. Negative patterns trap you in predictability. Positive attitude gives choice. Choice to try again, respond differently, think independently. Freedom begins internally, and once the mind is free, action follows naturally. Sit with this thought. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who can change them. That realization alone is power. Part 4. Confidence, courage, emotional strength, and inner stability. Opening. Understanding real confidence. Most people think confidence is something you're born with. Roger Fritz destroys that myth immediately. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a byproduct of attitude and action. Confident people are not fearless. They are fear-competent. They feel fear, but they don't let fear make decisions for them. Chapter 38. What confidence is not. Confidence is not loudness, arrogance, showing off, never feeling doubt. In fact, those are often signs of insecurity. Real confidence is quiet, stable, grounded. It comes from trusting yourself, not from impressing others. Chapter 39. Self-trust, the core of confidence. At the center of confidence lies one thing: self-trust. Self-trust means you trust yourself to learn. You trust yourself to adapt. You trust yourself to recover. You don't need certainty. You need faith in your ability to handle uncertainty. Roger Fritz explains, confidence grows every time you keep promises to yourself. Small promises, small actions, repeated daily. Chapter 40. Courage comes before confidence. This part is crucial. Most people wait to feel confident before acting. That never works. Roger Fritz is clear. Courage comes first. Confidence comes later. You act while afraid. You speak while nervous. You try while uncertain. and after action, confidence appears. Waiting kills growth. Action creates belief. 41. Fear, your signal, not your enemy. Fear is misunderstood. Fear does not mean stop, quit, retreat. Fear means you are at the edge of growth. Positive attitude reframes fear as information, not instruction. Fear says, this matters, and things that matter are worth doing carefully, not avoiding. Chapter 42. Emotional strength, staying centered. Emotional strength is not being emotionless, it is staying centered under pressure. Roger Fritz describes emotionally strong people as those who don't overreact, don't collapse, don't personalize everything. They respond instead of explode. This stability is built through attitude, not talent. Chapter 43. Controlling the only thing you can. Here's a liberating truth. You cannot control outcomes, other people, circumstances, but you can always control effort, focus, response. Positive attitude redirects attention to what is controllable, and control reduces anxiety. Chapter 44. Handling criticism without breaking. Criticism destroys people with weak attitude, but builds people with strong attitude. Roger Fritz teaches 3 filters. Is it true? If yes, learn. Is it useful? If yes, apply. Is it noise? If yes, discard. Not all criticism deserves residence in your mind. Chapter 45. The Confidence-Competence Loop. Here's how growth actually works. Action, skill, confidence, more action. Most people try to reverse it, but confidence follows competence, and competence follows effort. Positive attitude keeps you in motion long enough to build skill. Chapter 46. Emotional resilience, bouncing back. Life will hit you, guaranteed. Resilient people don't avoid impact, they recover faster. Roger Fritz defines resilience as the speed at which you return to balance. Positive attitude shortens recovery time. You feel disappointment, but you don't live there. Chapter 47. Inner stability versus external validation. If your confidence depends on praise, approval, results, you'll feel unstable. Inner stability comes from values, effort, integrity. When you know you showed up fully, external noise loses power. Chapter 48. Decision-making under uncertainty. Waiting for perfect clarity creates paralysis. Roger Fritz explains, successful people decide with incomplete information, then adjust. Positive attitude accepts imperfection, learning curves, course correction. Momentum beats perfection. Chapter 49. Stress as a performance tool. Stress is not always bad. Managed stress sharpens focus, but unmanaged stress destroys health. Positive attitude acknowledges stress, regulates response, uses pressure constructively. You don't eliminate pressure, you train under it. Chapter 50. Inner dialogue of confident people. Confident inner talk sounds like, I'll handle this. Let me try. I'll figure it out. This is temporary. Not dramatic, not aggressive, just steady. Chapter 51. Becoming emotionally unbreakable. Emotionally unbreakable doesn't mean invincible. It means you bend, not shatter. You feel, not drown. You pause, then proceed. Positive attitude is emotional armor, flexible, not rigid. Chapter 52. The Identity Shift. At this stage, something changes. You stop asking, can I do this? And start asking, how do I do this? That question alone signals growth. Confidence is built, not found. Courage is practiced, not felt. Strength is trained, not gifted. And attitude is the foundation beneath all three. Part 5. Positive attitude in career, leadership, and professional success. Opening, where attitude meets reality. Up to now, we've worked on the inner world, mindset, beliefs, confidence, emotional strength. But now comes the real test, because success is not proven in silence, it is proven in action, in work, in pressure, in responsibility. Roger Fritz is very clear. Your career will never outgrow your attitude. Titles don't create leaders. Skills don't guarantee success. Degrees don't ensure fulfillment. Attitude does. Chapter 53. Why attitude matters more than talent at work. In professional life, talent may open the door, but attitude decides how long you stay inside. Roger Fritz explains that organizations don't fail because of lack of skill. They fail because of ego, negativity, resistance to change, poor emotional control. A positive attitude employee learns faster, adapts quicker, works better with others, handles pressure with maturity. That's why attitude is often promoted before ability. Chapter 54. The workplace is a mirror. Your workplace reflects your attitude back to you. If you approach work with resentment, work feels heavy. Curiosity, work becomes engaging. Responsibility, trust increases. Roger Fritz emphasizes, work doesn't just test skill, it tests character, and character is revealed through attitude. Chapter 55. Taking ownership versus making excuses. Here is a sharp divider between average professionals and exceptional professionals. Average mindset says, that's not my job. It's not my fault. Someone else should handle this. Positive attitude says, what can I do to improve this? Ownership creates value. Excuses destroy credibility. Leaders notice ownership immediately, even without titles. Chapter 56. Attitude and professional growth. Growth does not come from comfort. It comes from feedback, challenge, responsibility. Roger Fritz explains that people with positive attitude ask for feedback instead of fearing it, see correction as coaching, use mistakes as data. They grow faster because they're teachable. Chapter 57. Handling pressure at work. Deadlines, expectations, competition. Pressure is inevitable. A positive attitude doesn't remove pressure, it changes your relationship with it. Instead of, this pressure will break me, it says, this pressure will sharpen me. Pressure handled correctly builds confidence. Chapter 58. Work ethic and attitude. Work ethic is not about working endlessly, it's about consistency, reliability, and integrity. Roger Fritz points out, people trust attitude before results. Someone with strong attitude shows up prepared, delivers on promises, maintains professionalism under stress. Trust compounds faster than talent. Chapter 59. Communication and attitude. Communication is not just words, it's tone, timing, and intent. Positive attitude communication seeks clarity, not dominance, solves problems, not egos, listens before reacting. Poor attitude turns conversations into battles. Good attitude turns them into solutions. Chapter 60. Conflict without destruction. Conflict is unavoidable, but drama is optional. Roger Fritz explains that emotionally mature professionals separate issue from identity, address problems directly, avoid personal attacks. Positive attitude doesn't avoid conflict, it handles it constructively. Chapter 61. Leadership begins before the title. Leadership is not a position, it's a presence. People follow consistency, calmness, clarity. Roger Fritz says, leadership is attitude made visible. You lead by how you respond under pressure, how you treat people, how you handle setbacks. Titles come later. Chapter 62, Influence Through Attitude. Influence is not authority, it's trust. Positive attitude creates influence because people feel safe. People feel respected. People feel understood. A negative leader may get compliance. A positive leader earns commitment. Chapter 63, Handling Failure at Work. Mistakes happen. Projects fail. Decisions misfire. The question is not if you fail, but how you respond. Positive attitude says, what went wrong? What can we learn? How do we improve? Blame destroys teams. Learning builds them. Chapter 64, Adaptability, the Career Survival Skill. The world changes fast. Technology, markets, roles. Roger Fritz stresses adaptability is attitude in motion. People who cling to old methods struggle. People who stay curious thrive. Positive attitude welcomes change instead of fearing it. Chapter 65, Long-Term Career Success. Success is not a single promotion, it's sustainability. Burnout happens when meaning disappears, growth stops, attitude turns bitter. Positive attitude protects longevity by reconnecting effort to purpose, maintaining learning mindset, balancing ambition with health. Chapter 66, Respect is earned daily. Respect is not demanded. It's built through consistency, fairness, accountability. Roger Fritz reminds, people remember how you made them feel, especially under pressure. Your attitude becomes your professional reputation. Chapter 67, Career Identity Shift. At this level, something changes. You stop seeing your job as what I have to do and start seeing it as what I contribute. Contribution mindset creates meaning. Meaning fuels excellence. Reflect on this. Skill gets you noticed. Attitude gets you trusted. Trust gets you promoted. And none of it is accidental. This is where positive attitude becomes survival strength. Stay with me. This part matters deeply. Because this is where most people break and where a positive attitude becomes a lifeline. Part 6. Failure, stress, pressure, criticism, and life's toughest moments. Opening. The moments that define you. Success is not defined by your best days. It is defined by your worst days, your quiet disappointments, your unseen struggles. Roger Fritz writes with clarity, anyone can stay positive when life is easy. Character is revealed when life is heavy. This part is not about motivation. It is about mental survival and strength. Chapter 68. Failure is inevitable. Defeat is optional. Failure is not an exception. It is part of every meaningful path. What destroys people is not failure. It is identifying with failure. Positive attitude separates the event from the identity, the outcome from the worth. You didn't fail as a person. A method failed, a decision misfired, a timing issue occurred, and all of that is correctable. Chapter 69. The Shame Trap. Shame says, something is wrong with me. Roger Fritz explains that shame locks people into silence and stagnation. Positive attitude replaces shame with curiosity. What happened? What can I learn? What's the next step? Shame looks backward. Growth looks forward. Chapter 70. How successful people process failure. They do 3 things. Acknowledge emotion. They don't suppress disappointment. Extract the lesson. Failure becomes data. Re-engage quickly. They don't wait for perfect confidence. Speed of recovery matters more than depth of failure. Chapter 71. Stress, the invisible weight. Stress is not weakness. It is the body signaling overload. Roger Fritz explains, stress increases when control feels lost. Positive attitude restores control by focusing on what can be done now, what can wait, what must be released. Clarity reduces stress more than rest alone. Chapter 72. Mental Load Management. Your mind has limits. Trying to carry everything leads to burnout, irritability, poor decisions. Positive attitude includes delegation, prioritization, letting go of perfection. You don't need to do everything, you need to do what matters. Chapter 73. Pressure versus panic. Pressure can sharpen focus, panic destroys it. Roger Fritz teaches that panic comes from catastrophic thinking, fear of judgment, over-identification with outcomes. Positive attitude says, this moment is important, not fatal. That thought alone restores calm. Chapter 74. Criticism. Use it or lose yourself. Criticism hurts because it touches identity. But not all criticism deserves equal weight. Positive attitude filters criticism into constructive, learn from it, neutral, acknowledge it, toxic, discard it. You don't grow by ignoring feedback. You also don't grow by absorbing abuse. Chapter 75. When effort is not rewarded. This is one of life's hardest moments. You try, you commit, you give your best, and still no result. Roger Fritz says, delayed reward does not mean wasted effort. Effort builds skill, character, readiness. Sometimes results come later because you are being prepared first. Chapter 76. Emotional endurance. Endurance is staying present while uncomfortable. Positive attitude helps you endure by breaking time into smaller segments, focusing on next action, avoiding future catastrophes. You don't need to survive forever. You need to survive this moment. Chapter 77. Handling loss and disappointment. Loss hurts because it mattered. Positive attitude doesn't rush healing. It allows grief, reflection, meaning-making. Roger Fritz emphasizes, growth does not erase pain. It gives pain purpose. Chapter 78. Rebuilding after setback. After a major setback, confidence drops, trust weakens, motivation fades. Rebuilding starts small. Positive attitude says, let me take one step. One step restores movement. Movement restores belief.
Chapter 79. Resilience is built, not found. Resilience is not toughness. It is flexibility. Rigid minds break. Flexible minds adapt. Positive attitude keeps you flexible. Chapter 80. The role of meaning in suffering. Suffering without meaning leads to despair. Suffering with meaning leads to growth. Positive attitude asks, what is this teaching me? Who am I becoming through this? Meaning transforms pain into strength. Chapter 81. When life feels unfair, life will be unfair. Roger Fritz doesn't deny this, but he reminds, fairness is not required for progress. You don't wait for fairness. You move anyway. That decision alone is power. Chapter 82. Mental recovery practices. Recovery is not laziness, it is maintenance. Positive attitude includes rest, reflection, reconnection with purpose. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Chapter 83. The courage to continue. Courage is not confidence, it is choosing to continue without it. Positive attitude says, I don't need to feel strong to act strong. And action slowly rebuilds strength. Remember this, you are not weak for struggling. You are strong for continuing, and that strength grows. One response at a time. Success is not built only in silence or solitude. It is built among people, at work, in leadership, in everyday conversations. And here, more than anywhere else, your attitude becomes visible, contagious, powerful. In this part, Roger Fritz shifts the focus from personal mindset to external impact. He explains how a positive attitude transforms leadership, workplace performance, teamwork, and daily interactions. The central idea is simple yet profound. Your attitude does not stay inside you. It spreads to coworkers, families, teams, and communities. 1. Attitude, the invisible leadership tool. Roger Fritz explains that true leadership is not position-based. You don't need a title to be a leader. You lead when you remain calm under pressure. You take responsibility instead of blaming. You inspire confidence during uncertainty. A positive attitude does three things in leadership: builds trust, creates emotional safety, encourages growth. People don't follow authority. They follow energy, audio reflection. People may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they will never forget how your attitude made them feel. 2. The difference between a boss and a leader. Roger Fritz draws a sharp contrast. Boss leader controls, guides, criticizes, coaches, blames, takes responsibility, focuses on problems, focuses on solutions. A positive leader sees mistakes as learning moments, encourages effort, not just results, believes in people before they believe in themselves. A negative leader drains energy. A positive leader multiplies it. 3. Attitude at work, your silent resume. Your qualifications may get you hired, but your attitude decides how far you go. Roger Fritz highlights a powerful truth. Employers can teach skills. They cannot teach attitude. At work, a positive attitude shows as reliability, willingness to learn, respectful communication. 2 employees can have the same job, the same salary, the same workload. One grows, the other stays stuck. The difference? Attitude. 4. Turning workplace stress into strength. Work pressure is unavoidable. Deadlines, expectations, competition. But Roger Fritz emphasizes stress does not come from work itself. It comes from how we interpret work. A positive attitude turns pressure into purpose, turns challenges into opportunities, turns criticism into feedback. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single question changes everything. 5. Teamwork, attitude. Is the glue. Teams fail not because of lack of talent, but because of ego, negativity, and blame. A positive attitude in a team encourages collaboration, reduces conflict, builds mutual respect. Roger Fritz says, one negative person can weaken an entire team. One positive person can lift everyone. Imagine a team meeting. One person complains, another suggests solutions. Which one moves the team forward? 6. Dealing with difficult people without losing positivity. One of the most practical sections of the book. Roger Fritz acknowledges you cannot avoid negative people, but you can avoid becoming one. Strategies he shares: don't absorb their emotions. Respond, don't react. Set boundaries calmly. Stay focused on facts, not drama. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. 7. Attitude in everyday life. Your attitude doesn't switch off after office hours. It affects family relationships, parenting, friendships, social interactions. A positive attitude at home builds emotional safety, reduces unnecessary conflict, creates respect and warmth. Your family doesn't need a perfect version of you. They need a peaceful one. 8. Consistency, the real test of positivity. Being positive on good days is easy. Being positive on hard days is character. Roger Fritz explains that consistency builds credibility. People trust you when your behavior is stable, your reactions are mature, your attitude doesn't collapse under stress. 9. Attitude and influence. Whether you realize it or not, someone is watching you. Someone is learning from you. Someone is inspired or discouraged by you. Your attitude creates ripples. You may never know whose life you touched, but your attitude always leaves fingerprints. In this part, the author teaches us that attitude defines leadership. Positivity multiplies impact. Work success depends more on mindset than skill. Teams thrive on emotional energy. Everyday life improves when attitude improves. Your attitude is not a private matter. It shapes your workplace. It shapes your relationships. It shapes your legacy. Failure, setbacks, and the power to rise again. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a chapter inside it. What decides your future is not whether you fall, but the attitude with which you stand back up. In this section, Roger Fritz addresses one of the most misunderstood realities of life. Everyone fails, but not everyone responds the same way. This part explains how a positive attitude transforms failure from a stopping point into a stepping stone. 1. Why failure is inevitable. Roger Fritz makes something very clear. If you are growing, trying something new, taking responsibility, chasing meaningful goals, then failure is unavoidable. Failure does not mean you are weak, you are incapable, you are not meant to succeed. Failure simply means you attempted something that mattered. If you have never failed, you have probably never truly tried. 2. The 2 ways people respond to failure. According to Roger Fritz, failure divides people into 2 groups. Group 1, the negative responders. They say, I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. What will people think? They let failure damage their self-image, control their future decisions, define their identity. Group 2, the positive responders. They ask what went wrong? What can I learn? How can I improve next time? They let failure teach them, strengthen them, redirect them. Failure does not define you. Your response to failure does. 3. Attitude determines the meaning of failure. Roger Fritz explains a powerful truth. Failure has no meaning of its own. You give it meaning through your attitude. A negative attitude says, this proves I can't succeed. A positive attitude says, this experience is preparing me. Same event, different interpretation, different future. 4. Emotional control. During setbacks, failure often brings anger, embarrassment, self-doubt. Fear. Roger Fritz emphasizes that emotional control is a skill, not a personality trait. Positive attitude does not mean suppressing emotions. Pretending pain doesn't exist. It means feeling emotions, understanding them, not letting them control your actions. You are allowed to feel disappointed. You are not allowed to stay defeated. 5. Learning instead of self-blame. One of the biggest lessons in this part. Blame blocks growth. Learning unlocks it. Negative thinkers ask, who caused this? Positive thinkers ask, what caused this? That small shift removes ego and opens the door to improvement. 6. Failure builds character faster than success. Roger Fritz explains that success often hides weaknesses, but failure exposes them. And exposure creates awareness, humility, strength. Most strong, calm, wise people were not shaped by easy wins, were shaped by repeated setbacks. Smooth roads rarely create strong travelers. 7. The role of persistence. A positive attitude fuels persistence. Persistence is not loud motivation. It is quiet commitment. It means showing up again. Adjusting the strategy, not quitting on yourself. Roger Fritz says, persistence turns temporary defeat into permanent success. 8. Failure and self-worth. One of the most emotional lessons in the book. Failure attacks self-worth when we tie results to identity. Roger Fritz reminds us, you are not your performance. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst day. A positive attitude separates who you are from what happened. Your value does not decrease because your results did. 9. Reframing failure as feedback. Instead of calling it failure, Roger Fritz encourages calling it feedback experience of training. Feedback tells you what needs improvement, what works, what doesn't. This mindset removes fear and invites progress. 10. Real success stories share one thing. Different industries, different backgrounds, different talents. But Roger Fritz finds one common thread. Every successful person failed and refused to let failure turn them bitter. They used failure as fuel education direction. This part teaches us check mark. Failure is unavoidable on the road to success. Check mark attitude decides whether failure stops or strengthens you. Check mark emotional control is essential during setbacks. Check mark learning matters more than blaming. Check mark persistence is powered by positivity. Self-worth must never depend on outcomes. Failure is not the end of the road. It is a curve designed to test your patience, your belief, and most importantly, your attitude. IRA Part 9, Building a Positive Attitude for Long-Term Success. A positive attitude is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Success does not belong to the most talented, but to those who protect their mindset day after day, year after year. Roger Fritz now moves beyond motivation and focuses on maintenance. This part explains how to build, protect, and sustain a positive attitude through life's changing seasons. Because short-term positivity inspires, but long-term positivity transforms. 1. Positivity is a skill, not a mood. Many people believe positivity depends on good circumstances, praise from others, easy progress. Roger Fritz strongly disagrees. He explains, a positive attitude is a trained response, just like discipline, focus, confidence. It improves with repetition. You don't wait to feel positive. You practice positivity until it becomes natural. 2. Daily mental habits shape long-term results. Your future is built quietly, through daily thought patterns. Roger Fritz highlights common habits of positive thinkers. They start the day intentionally. They control inner dialogue. They don't rehearse negativity. They end the day with reflection, small habits, massive impact. 3. The power of self-talk. The voice you hear most is your own. Roger Fritz calls self-talk the most influential conversation of your life. Negative self-talk sounds like, I'm not good enough. I always fail. This is too hard. Positive self-talk says, I'm learning. I can improve. This challenge will pass. Talk to yourself like someone you are responsible for encouraging. 4. Protecting your attitude from external negativity. Not everyone wants to see you grow. Some people complain constantly, criticize without purpose, spread doubt and fear. Roger Fritz explains that emotional boundaries are essential. You must limit exposure to negativity. Choose environments carefully. Protect your mental space. You cannot control who enters your life, but you can control who influences your mind. 5. Long-term success requires patience. One of the strongest messages in this part, positivity without patience leads to frustration. Growth is slow, progress is uneven, results take time. A positive attitude accepts, delays, detours, temporary stagnation, without giving up belief. 6. Resilience comes from perspective. Resilience is not toughness, it is perspective. Roger Fritz teaches, zoom out during setbacks. Remember long-term vision, avoid emotional overreaction. When you see life as a journey, a bad day doesn't feel like a disaster. A setback feels heavy only when you forget how far you've already come. 7. Gratitude, the foundation of positivity. Gratitude is not passive appreciation. It is an active mindset. Roger Fritz explains, gratitude shifts focus. Gratitude reduces fear. Gratitude increases emotional strength. Positive people don't deny problems. They simply refuse to ignore blessings.
8. Surrounding yourself with growth-minded people. Attitude is contagious. Spend time with people who encourage effort, celebrate progress, speak constructively, value growth. Over time, their mindset becomes yours. Your future self is shaped by the conversations you allow today. 9. Discipline over motivation. Motivation rises and falls. Discipline remains. Roger Fritz emphasizes long-term positivity depends on disciplined thinking. That means choosing constructive thoughts, reframing disappointment, staying consistent when emotions fluctuate, making positivity part of your identity. Eventually, positivity becomes automatic, natural, authentic. You stop trying to be positive and start living positively. This part teaches us positivity is a daily discipline. Long-term success requires patience. Self-talk shapes reality. Emotional boundaries protect growth. Gratitude stabilizes mindset. Resilience comes from perspective. Consistency builds identity. A positive attitude is not loud. It is steady. It does not rush. It does not panic. It walks forward, even when the road is long.
Part 10. Turning a positive attitude into a successful life blueprint ***. Success is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is a direction you choose every day. And the compass that guides you is your attitude. The final message of the book. Roger Fritz concludes the book with one core truth. A positive attitude is not a motivational tool. It is a life strategy. When practiced consistently, it becomes a blueprint for how you think, decide, act, and respond. Point 1. Attitude shapes every choice you make. Every day, you make hundreds of small decisions. How you react. What you focus on. What you tolerate. What you pursue. Your attitude influences your priorities, your confidence, your courage. Success is built quietly. Choice by choice, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall, or grow, to the level of your attitude. 2. Living intentionally instead of reactively. A negative attitude reacts. A positive attitude responds. Roger Fritz explains. Reactive people live in chaos. Intentional people live with clarity. Intentional living means pausing before reacting. Choosing calm over conflict. Acting from values, not emotions. 3. Turning challenges into training. By now, the reader understands. Challenges never disappear. But a positive attitude changes their role. Challenges become mental training, emotional strengthening. Character building. Life is not testing you to break you. It is training you to handle more. 4. Success without inner peace is not success. Roger Fritz emphasizes a powerful warning. External success without internal peace leads to burnout, emptiness, and fear. True success includes emotional stability, healthy relationships, self-respect, inner calm. A positive attitude aligns achievement with well-being. Point 5. The role of responsibility. One of the strongest closing lessons. Take responsibility for your attitude. Even when circumstances are unfair. Responsibility gives power. Blame gives excuses. The moment you take responsibility, you take back control. 6. Leaving a legacy through attitude. People may forget your job title, your achievements, your possessions, but they will remember your energy, your reactions, your presence. Roger Fritz explains that attitude is the most lasting form of influence. Point 7. Attitude as a daily commitment. The book ends not with a promise, but with a commitment. A commitment to choose optimism, practice patience, respond with wisdom, learn continuously. Today, I choose my attitude. I choose growth over fear, calm over chaos, purpose over pressure. 8. The road to success is ongoing. Success is not a finish line. It is a way of thinking, a way of responding, a way of living. Your road will have curves, hills, unexpected stops. But your attitude decides whether you stop or keep moving forward. This book teaches us. Heavy checkmark attitude is a choice. Heavy checkmark positivity is a discipline. Heavy checkmark challenges are opportunities. Heavy checkmark failure is feedback. Heavy checkmark success begins internally. Heavy checkmark long-term growth requires consistency. Heavy checkmark inner peace matters as much as achievement. You may not control every event in your life, but you always control your attitude. And that control is the greatest power you will ever have.